Okay. We're gonna I'll be in here for a minute.
I think we might be good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna talk to people.
I hear you. Not deaf.
Oh my gosh, so many tasks. Can people be quiet for a moment? So we're going to get started here in just a little bit. I'm hoping the YouTube stream's working, just to confirm.
As far as I can tell.
So the stream's working. Can we get a link posted in chat quick?
Which one?
Discord?
I'm not in that.
I know.
So I can't help. That was a sneak preview, I guess, apparently. Oh.
There will be briefly.
Are we supposed to find it?
No, I'll have a link here in a second.
It's worth 200 points.
Hang on, you just went forward.
Yeah, no. I tried to.
Okay. I don't know if it's actually showing. I just hear all the
That link
collective
should now
discords
be
going
in
off.
chat. I just popped in announcements. I suppose I could keep this going. I don't know. We shouldn't be causing any feedback. We should be fine.
Don't yell too loudly.
Yeah, I'll just keep the Discord voice channel over as well. Hopefully you guys can click on that YouTube link and we get the stream up. So we're gonna have two different sections. We're gonna have the red team debrief, where red team's gonna go over some different things they did, and then we're gonna have a white team debrief where we go over just basically final scoring. So we have Kyle Corman over here, who's going to be going over the red team debrief, I guess, with the rest of red team. So
Yeah, because all of red team's on the opposite side of the room for some reason. If you guys want to come up, since it's being streamed so they can hear stuff,
they like
please.
the darkness in the back.
Okay, apparently that's just going off the screen. So I attacked Windows, I guess. There were 5 or 6 of us on Windows, including one faculty member who did show up. We didn't know if he would, so thank you, Tyler. Make sure that you are changing your passwords and that you're updating the scoring engine. We think that's what a lot of the initial red stuff was, is maybe you were changing passwords, but just not updating it in there. Also, make sure they stay what you think they are, because if we're not able to pop a shell real quick, we'll just reset domain admin passwords. So you'll see them go back to password 1 bang, and if we're being nice. Look for persistence, because we stayed in pretty much the whole time on a lot of boxes. And in the first half, we're not going to nuke a bunch of stuff, so you're pretty safe to kind of see what we're digging ourselves into and not worry about a bunch of other stuff. And look at firewalls, so both network and host level, because that can stop so much of our stuff if you're just nope, we're not going to allow this outbound, this doesn't make sense. So really focus on outbound rules too, because inbound are pretty easy, but that outbound, that can completely save you. And then I'll let Brian speak for a little bit.
Sure. So the other thing we do is once we start getting into more of taking down your services, we'll just move your files that the service is looking for around. We'll name .old or .back, or if it gets later in the competition, we just delete them and assume you guys have backups. So always make backups of the important files, put them in other strange locations we won't look for. Yeah.
I think some web directories got nuked and some DNS got nuked, and make sure you can recover that stuff and users.
Normally what we first start with when we take down services, we just stop the service using services.msc or whatever, or the command line, and then from there we just start changing files, changing settings, just enough to get the scoring engine to not recognize the service as being up anymore. So, and then lastly, the entry methods. We'll really look at 4 different ones. The first one is psexec, because we just try the default credentials to get a system shell back using those. So that's over SMB. Then MS17010 was a very famous, the Eternal Blue exploit. So it's really great because all the boxes in the iLab are default vulnerable to it, and we don't need a username and password to exploit it and get a system shell. So we'll use that one secondary if we can't get your password anymore. For like scored SMB or even just like other Windows boxes, a lot of the times there'll be like the whole C drive is shared and just an open share to anyone with anonymous read. So we can just go read all your files or write files to that.
Or delete.
Or delete, yes. That's a fun one too. And then lastly, RDP. So if like we want to, we can just RDP into your box and log in that way. Or if we have like the sticky keys exploits where we replace sticky keys with CMD, we can then spawn a system shell or system terminal or command prompt and then reset the password on the box.
I use that a lot during this competition. So at the end, there were still many computers out there that I could RDP in without valid creds, hit shift 5 times, up spawns a command prompt. So.
And RDP was never scored on any box, so there was no reason to have RDP enabled into the network at all.
Unless you needed it for management, which maybe with ESXi you did.
Yeah.
We don't really know what your exact network config looked like, but. Okay. Ooh, nice dangling bullet point. That's pretty good.
So, I don't know, I guess the rest of the Linux people are shy and standing in the back of the room.
Ooh.
So, I convinced them to come up.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just kind of like talk about some of the stuff I experienced, and then maybe one of them will interject and say some stuff. There were a lot of Linux machines for us, like in the 40s or 50s, for all of us to be attacking, and I think we had, what do we have, 4 or 5 Linux attackers. There were we added a bunch of accounts right at minute 0, so some of them you might have been able to guess, like we added a Minecraft user. I don't know. All other ones didn't really follow the format, so there was Bob.Ross, just some strange user accounts that were added, and then those user accounts were also like, we would log in and do weird things with them at times. For most of the competition, default creds were still a thing. In my opinion, towards the end, like changing of those got, like, it was pretty good for most of the machines by the time it was the end. But we were kind of wondering if password like change requests for the scoring engine weren't done for some of the machines, because there were teams that we could still like SSH and it would be like, oh, what's the password? But your service was down, so we weren't sure if that was something that was messed up with your scoring engine or not. There were a couple other things that we found. We were able to do SQL injection on the player web app.
Yeah, it was the
thing.
player web app, yeah.
So we were able to pull all the phone numbers and like card numbers for every player and their names as well. I guess there were.
The other one was like permissions in the FTP server because you could log in as anonymous and just change files.
Yep.
And read them.
That was one. I think Angel played with some Docker stuff from a port team.
The Docker registry, the actual interaction that is required for authentication. However, Portainer was mainly what I leveraged to advance on other things.
Okay. I don't know if that was loud enough or not. Probably not.
I saw it pick up, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The other thing is like check to see who's in the sudoers file, because at the end there was a team that they brought up one of the SSH services and it went green on the board and we're like, oh, we got to take that down quick. So we just logged in with users and we were able to escalate because those were our backdoor users that we had added, which maybe those ones looked a little closer to like what a normal user would look like. I think we used Bob.Ross.
Mike.Schlana.
Yeah, Mike.Schlana. We used that one to log in, and they had sudo for everything, like just using their password. So we were able to just
Take it down again.
yeah sudo root, and then we would just change the port for SSH to 69 and killed the daemon. So even if it came back up, the scoring engine wouldn't have been able to use it. So it was just little things like that. And then I guess I threw the I guess it's not in there, but maybe check configs towards the end to see if, because if we've been in, maybe we changed your configs, because I think Tyler was the first one to start playing with the port 69 thing for the SSH stuff. So most of the SSH services were on that port towards the end. So, and if that would have been changed and the service would have been restarted, it probably would have continued working and you had had more green on the board. But that's just something to think about. Maybe your configs changed because red team was in and out and whatnot. So I don't know if anyone has anything else.
Any of the people hiding out back there want to say anything on Linux?
I got thumbs up, so.
All right. Now it's what, ESXi?
So this is something we went after at the very beginning of the competition, like minute zero. I had all of the IP addresses loaded up in a file, and I was able to just open up Firefox with all IP addresses for both Palos and ESXi, and then I manually went and just typed in the username and password for each one. And after I was able to successfully log in on the Palos, I created a backdoor user, root_admin. That I could then go and log in as and maintain access with that. For ESXi, it took too long for me to figure out how to add in backdoor user, so I just changed the root password, which evidently blocked a lot of you guys out. However, like at Nationals for CCDC, that is something they will do. They will go and just change your password on you when you least expect it. So I thought it was maybe somewhat normal. So, and you guys had access to the console for ESXi. So I don't know if you were able to go in there and then reset the password from there. But yeah, and then for the Palos, go and monitor and see what users were added and change all passwords for all users. Oh, and reboot your Palo and ESXi to clear out any sessions. Because once I was logged in, I had a valid session indefinitely. So it doesn't matter if you change a password 100 times, I still have a valid session. So you need to reboot the boxes after that.
Here's always the fun part. Bottom right, you can see there's one cat in the same column on every single team. What was that box called? Deep something? Dead Sea? Dead Sea. Yeah, so I had access to all of them, so I was like, can I just cat them because they're not scored? And I got the go-ahead, so I did. That was a fun time. Team 2 was the only team to survive that for a while because their Palo killed everything for a hot minute. So I wasn't able to cat them because we had no network connectivity. Top right, I guess it got a little bit red there for a bit. Bottom left, we have a bunch of these screenshots. There was something called Sysmon running on everyone's computers. I don't know how much was said about that in documentation. So it was logging, Sysmon was logging stuff, and something called WinLogBeat was pushing it to central server. And Nick, wherever he is, he was watching that flow through, and he was able to see a bunch of our stuff. And I think he was posting it in the Discord for a while, and then I came over and I was like, please delete some of that because they can tell where I am. So that's where that's coming from. Whoever had top left.
The top one, the scoring engine, was just a backdoor account, I'm pretty sure.
In ESXi?
Yeah, in ESXi. Or
It's a description, do not delete.
Do not delete, and no one actually deleted it, so.
That's pretty good. I think we have more still. Okay, so there's more Kibana stuff down at the bottom. One's a weird registry key with like a bunch of like Russian characters and a pound sign, like a British pounds. I don't know what the heck is going on there. Who did that? It wasn't me. And then top left is a massive PowerShell command in the process.args field. So that was like run on a command line. That got logged. I don't know what this.
There's like 1,000 of those PowerShell ones up there.
Who took this screenshot of like them RMing a bunch of data? Yeah, screw your neighbor.txt. I don't know where that came from, but it's in the meme slide. Oh yeah, and then we had Team 1 while I was in here. I heard a nice little F Kyle, and it wasn't censored, so that was pretty funny. Because, well, you guys were mad since some of my persistent stuff was running and it locked them out of a box entirely. So no one could sign in, and it didn't have a network adapter, so it was just kind of chilling there. And then Inject 8 Team 2, that got posted publicly in our Slack. So us being Red Team, we're like, oh, let's just open that up real quick. Yeah, so we added red team was here. There was a bunch of like pictures in it, and it got defaced pretty good, but I think it was already submitted or something.
Yeah, it already was.
So didn't get to it in time. That would have been pretty good though if you went to submit it and red team was here is in it. So okay, I think that's the end of our slides. So questions for us?
What did you do to Team 1's FTP?
I don't know, anyone back there?
I mean, I literally just logged in with Anonymous and changed it, removed or renamed the file. And yeah, that's all it took to take it
Well,
down.
Was it Windows or
after
Linux?
the end, because it turned red.
Oh, I don't.
2 minutes after.
Could have been scoring engine
Yeah,
having
I
a little
know.
hiccup.
Yeah.
It ran pretty much without a hitch for like 4
Yeah,
hours
it's-
though.
Yeah, they had it secured pretty much the whole time after like the first 5 minutes.
Anything else? Also from the online people? I can see the Discord here, so I'm just kind of watching it.
You guys ever
Yeah, I got a
find out
question. So towards the end, you were cutting out whenever you were talking about the Palo Alto. Ours like got restarted. Was that you or is that someone else? Something else happening?
I don't recall any of us restarting a Palo.
Huh?
I don't know. Anyone back there restart a Palo? We're getting
That's pretty.
all no's from back there.
In the last half hour, we
Our Palo restarted, and that's why all of like D3 stuff went down towards the end, and then came back up. So yeah, that's why I was just wondering if you all did it. how you
Maybe
got it.
just virtual Palo didn't want to
I
exist
have
for a little
no
bit.
idea. I mean, it's possible something happened, but nothing white
Yeah.
team side I know off the top of my head would have caused that, unless it's literally like, Palo doesn't want to live anymore. Down we go.
Because it is virtualized. It's not
It,
an
it,
actual.
it is a virtualized Palo, and that's the only I can think of that it threw a hissy fit.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering if that was you all, and if it was, how you got in.
We'll take credit.
The VM that proved itself, then you know that's what it is. So appreciate it.
Because did you guys get SSH minute 0 or not off Palo? Was
No.
You just could, no
I
Palo
think it was
access?
just all
all good.
web.
But you did, you were able to log into Palo GUI minute 0, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But no persistence?
No persistence.
No persistence. Okay.
Nah, because we're trash. So,
So I have a question for you guys.
yep.
Were there backdoor user accounts added to Palo by default? Because I saw a couple that had
That was
suspicious
us.
sounding names.
Nope.
There was one that was like backup, and there was another one that was like admin something.
Those were probably all us. I'm guessing it was just
I don't
administrator.
remember. You're gonna have to talk to Mike on that one. I didn't play with the Palo towards the end of the build process in this one, so it's possible there. I mean, there was like one. I wouldn't have thought. Nothing major. We had some talk about connecting your Palo to LDAP, but I don't think that ever happened. So.
Oh, that would have been
There were
fun.
LDAP accounts in the Palo.
Oh, there was.
Yeah, there was LDAP on the
Oh, that worked then. Okay.
We never used that.
That would have been fun.
I told it, but it was there.
We never.
So why was our XP box still alive?
I was it scored?
It was too powerful.
Dude, pinball scares red teamers. So, likely we just weren't focusing on it because we're going to go after your scored services because that's where it actually matters for us to invest stuff. So it might be like, oh, there's an XP box somewhere, but I mean, we might just cat it for the giggles. But we were kind of stretched between teams, so we didn't really have the time of like, yeah, let's just go XP hunting.
Yeah, we were just confused because everything was down. Everything was over, and then like our Windows guy was like, "XP's alive? Like what is it?"
If it had SMB scored, it probably would have died. So I didn't even realize there was an XP box. I never poked around it.
And that's how it works. You just have to make sure what you're prioritizing is correct, because obviously, non-scored services might be useful sometime. Maybe you have an inject, maybe something else to deal with them later, but they're not necessarily always where you should be putting your focus, unless they're directly related to a scored service. Okay.
So I saw someone else unmute their mic in the Discord. Do they have a question? Or is it just an unmuted mic in there?
I mean, I can try to pronounce the name, but I'm going to butcher it. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any other questions here before Red Team is done with their thing?
Okay. I think we're think we're good to go. So we're going to switch over to white team now,
Cool.
which will be effort. Nick, where are you at? I want to give you slides. Try and make a nice chart for the injects there. So Nick, if I slack you, that's the best way to give you slides, right?
Yeah, just do it.
Does that mean you're gonna have to restart your capture now? Or no, you can try opening on the same window. Right? No, that's not what I sent you. Did I send it to somebody else?
Probably.
Oh no, I gave you the wrong link. My bad. I sent that link to, I don't even know.
Well, you sent me the link to.
I sent you the link to the YouTube video. I have no idea. That's concerning. I put the right link in chat, right? I'm just like link slides.
Okay, I have to change the windows quick.
I link for YouTube, right? Okay, so stop your cheating. Stop looking at the scores. You have opened multiple window captures. You need to make some of these unviewable. Okay, that's what it is. You're like layering 6 captures on top of each other. Okay. Oh, what do you? Well, this is the stream dead? Because you stopped. Did you stop streaming?
No.
What are you doing? Turn that back on. They can see it. It's not. They're gonna see it here in a minute anyway. Okay, there we go. Is the stream dead now?
I'm just spinning on it. It could just be.
Well,
my
he stopped
phone.
streaming. Didn't you? Did you stop
No.
streaming there for a minute?
No, I didn't.
You didn't stop streaming?
No, that looks fine.
Okay. Well, I'll
Oh.
check the. We come
We
go
might
back
be
again.
good.
Okay. Because it's gonna be the same.
It's still on the old thing, but that might just be. something.
That's. I'm hoping
Oh,
it's
yep,
the stream.
we're
Like.
fine.
Okay. Cool. We're good to go. So that's going. I guess me and Nathan for this one. They can stick around if he wants to. Okay. I think we're good to go. I want to do the clicking. Okay. Is my mouse over there now in the right place now?
Probably.
Probably. Okay.
50-50 chance.
Okay. So we're going to be going over some different scoring stuff. So over the course of the competition, we did expect you guys to submit your credential changes in the scoring engine. So this is just a little table of all the different changes we had and how many default credentials we had left as far as the scoring engine is concerned. So if you didn't change in the scoring engine, maybe you did something. I don't know how else you secure the service, I suppose. But if the credentials were changed, they would show up here in this little chart right here. As you can see, we actually did. I mean, some teams got really close. Some teams got pretty decent on the halfway mark, and that's really what we expect is to see around 50% of credentials changed, ideally or lower. Once again, the competition is a learning experience, and that's really the main thing we're here to do is just to practice. But that was just a little chart for default credentials. I'm hoping this works as expected. Okay, it does.
All right, injects. There were 16 injects. If you were on Slack, you would have seen I accidentally leaked. There was 15 of them. Not their links though, just that there's 15.
Thanks, Nick.
The average score per inject was 35%. I kind of took that off the top 3 teams because the other the two lower teams didn't turn enough injects, so it really skewed it down to like 5%. But the average score per inject was 35%, and most teams turned in about 13 of the 16 injects. We had.
You're cutting in and out really.
Is that on the Discord stream or on the YouTube?
The Discord stream.
Yeah, the Discord, I don't know if we can do too much about that. If you want to just switch over to the YouTube for audio and then cut back in. Because ideally the YouTube audio should be substantially better.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So we had one team turn in one team turned in 14, one team turned in 13, and one team turned in 12. So sticking up there pretty high. Good job on that. Just got to get the quality up. There was a lot of times we were handing out 5% because you guys were handing in stuff that, I mean, yeah, technically it's covered the 3 topics by saying the 3 topics, and that's it. Which doesn't at all help us. So, do I click this? Where do I click?
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for index scores, Team 1 had 22,005 points. Team 3 had 2,153 points and 5 points. And Team 2 had 1,235. It tells you the quality. So if Team 1 turned in 13 injects and had 22,000, that means they probably averaged below a 50% on inject scores. Same for the other two, even less. So just gotta get the inject scores up. So I think that's mine.
Sure. Okay. And let's talk about service scores. So the important thing to remember for service scores is that they're not just the points you get each check. You do get a certain number of points each check, but you do not. That's not really the main component. Normally, one of the main components of service scoring is trying to avoid SLA violations. Where if you're down 6 checks in a row, then you get a point penalty, which is normally pretty hefty, and that's really a good thing to remember in these competitions. Is to try to avoid the SLA penalty, because that's what's going to hit you harder than what you're gaining for service score. Really, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. As long as you're keeping your services up, even erratically, you'll avoid SLA. Ideally, you want to keep them up as much as possible. Here's just a little chart. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We had the first portion of the competition where people, they were either doing a good job of not shooting themselves in the foot, or they were not. Our red team really just haven't acted yet. And then as we see throughout the competition, we see red team take effect and start to drop your services one by one until you start accruing large numbers of SLA penalties. Because we had a fairly red board, we do end up with some, we had a fairly red board this time, which, it varies competition for competition based on whatever red team has decided to do and just how that all works out. But in this one, we did have a red board, which means we had lots of SLA penalties, which means we had, in this particular case, we actually had negative scores, which happens and is actually pretty common. Remember, it's a relative competition. Doesn't matter whether I give you 1,000,000 points or negative million, as long as you're slightly ahead of the person below you. So in this case, we had Team 1 with first place for just the service score category, Team 2 for first place with just the service scores, Team 1 for second place, and then Team 5. All of them are ranging, from negative 2,700 to negative 3,700. But when we take those particular scores and we add them to the inject scores, we get some more negative scores that are slightly less negative.
Plus resets.
Oh, yeah, and it's also important to note that this total score is also including revert penalties. We didn't have revert penalties in this case. We did have ransom from the ES6I penalties. So, and then we also had, which was minus 200 points, and then we also had PI. Two teams had some PII they lost, and red team reported that in, so they lost a little bit extra points for that as well. But this is what we end up for final scores. This is, the winner of our practice competition. That'll be in first place, Team 1, second place, Team 2, third place, Team 3. Made it really easy for me to figure out the numbers there. So that's what we ended up with. As always, we hope you guys learned something. We hope you had a good opportunity to practice your skills, practice your checklist, especially against a, fairly competent red team, at least. They do quite well, and we're very, very happy to have them. I'm very happy to have everybody else who helped me set up the environment, load the boxes, do injects, and get everything else going. If we could put a hand, for Nathan and red team and everybody else, Cody too. But that's really all there is to white team scores. Do we have any questions pertaining to those, or I guess other things in general? I'm just opening it up for questions now in the less good Discord audio.
What about Team 4 and 5?
So
The top 3.
That's what we do. We normally portray the top 3 teams. It's important to recognize that even if you didn't get first through third, I hope this was a practice. This is made to be a practice. I hope it's a learning experience for you guys. And this hopefully we'll be doing the same thing next year, and hopefully we'll be having other. Can you say that one more time? Can you repeat that, Anthony? Oh, I think he might have been asking his own team members.
All right. So one thing with injects that I did notice, and this was across everyone, is that you guys need to work on your professionalism just within formatting. Make sure that every inject you turn in has the same formatting. All of them, if you're going to write out something, if you're going to write out 3 different things, use bold, make it look nice, make it easily readable. It's something that every team struggled with. And make sure you read what the inject is asking for. A lot of times we were missing entire parts of the injects. Like it would ask you to do 2 things, and you would only read through far enough to read to do one thing, and then miss the entire second sentence. So there was a lot of, I think that's what affected a lot of the scores, is there was a lot of, well, they didn't do anything with part 2, and that's the most important part, so there's minus 60% of the score. So make sure you're reading injects, I guess. So.
Okay. So once again, any questions from Discord? We're gonna have to give that a second to go through the YouTubes, I guess, because that's fair. I think some people have deafened themselves to listen to the YouTube audio, which is perfectly okay. So I'll give it about 20 seconds, and then we'll close up. We, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to send me messages on Slack. I can try to get you in touch with the right people if I don't have the answers myself. Okay. I'll be around. Oh, Anthony?
Okay. Yeah, I just,
to go through the YouTubes, I guess. If that's fair. I think some people have definitely themselves to the YouTube audio.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, like, thanks for putting this on.
20 seconds and then we'll close up. Messages in Slack. I can try to get you.
Yeah, and we're very happy to put it on. We are getting a beautiful feedback loop now. So
I'm just gonna mute YouTube.
that's a good idea.
Okay. So, we just wanted to say thanks for putting this on. So, we're from, I don't know, can I say what school we're from right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so we're from Utah, anyway, and, like, this is the first time we've participated in, like, the one put on by you all, and it was a blast. It was a good amount of time. And especially because, like, with us, like, new people are so scared to kind of get into it, especially when going to, like, regionals and nationals, places like that, right? That it's hard to, convince people or train people to come to those things. And, like, this practice competition was really good for that. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we have a fun time putting it on as well. And we'll obviously try to make sure we continue to do this next year with the mocks and some other events we have as well. So, but I think besides that, that's all we have for tonight. Obviously, thank you to everybody who showed up. I'm going to close it out now. Okay. Oh no. I have to deal with this How do I stop the stream?
There we go.